All right. With the call to order March 16, 2026, a Urban Renewal Agency meeting at 6 p.m. Okay, today we do have agent, got our names? Agent Ryuda is out sick. Agent Holmes is online. Agent Haugen, I think, is en route. And the rest of us are here, minus our student representative. So I'm looking at the approval of the agenda. Motion by Agent Santiago to approve tonight's agenda. Any second?
Second.
Second by Agent President Miller. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get going, is our applicant going to be here online or is?
He just responded. He said, yes, getting teams ready.
Okay, so
I'll
he'll be
keep you
online.
posted.
Okay, so we don't have a ton of the public comment in urban renewal, but it is on the agenda and we do have one tonight. So let's go to public comments. We will give 5 minutes, although this is an agenda item. We're going to take public comment on it. So Ms. Higas, if you want to step up for your public comment tonight.
To the members of the Urban Renewal Agency, my name is Alicia Higas, and I'm a small business owner in Scappoose and a formal commercial tenant in the building associated with 52555 Columbia River Highway. I am submitting this comment in opposition to the proposed urban renewal grant for the property listed at 52561 Columbia River Highway because public development funds should not be used to improve a property that still has unresolved compliance, safety, and permitting concerns. My comments are based on my direct experience as a tenant of the building, as well as information obtained through public records requests with the city. Urban renewal funds comes from public resources intended to support responsible redevelopment and long-term community benefit. For that reason, properties receiving these funds should meet basic safety, accessibility, and permitting standards. The building underwent a significant structural addition during a period when building permits, inspections, and occupancy approvals were required. Through a public records request, I was informed that an occupancy permit for the building could not be located and that the issue had been overlooked. Because the addition created multiple units within the structure, it would be appropriate for the agency to verify that the required permits, inspections, and occupancy approvals associated with that addition were completed. The grant application references 52561 Columbia River Highway. However, the structure also includes 52555 for a commercial unit and 52557 for the upstairs residential units. It would therefore be appropriate for the agency to ensure the application reflects the full configuration of the building. During our tenancy, a breaker panel was installed that appeared to route electrical service towards the upper level of the structure where residential tenants are located. Although a permit was later pulled by a licensed electrician, the electrical configuration directing power toward the upper portion of the building appeared to remain unchanged. This could be verified through inspection of the breaker panel and the electrical lines extending upward toward the upper level of the structure. If urban renewal funds are being considered for improvements to this property, it would be appropriate for the agency to ensure the electrical configuration is inspected and verified so that all units are properly separated and compliant. There is also a long-standing ADA accessibility issue in the parking lot. Approximately 4 years ago, my husband and I filed a complaint after the parking lot was restriped in a way that allowed vehicles to block the ADA ramp. City officials acknowledged the violation at that time. However, the issue has not been permanently corrected. Accessibility compliance should be addressed prior to the use of public redevelopment funds. There are also visible maintenance concerns with the structure. The rear deck attached to the building shows deterioration and appears to be pulling away from the structure in several areas. In addition, exterior windows facing Highway 30 have previously been damaged by roadway debris, and tenants were required to replace those windows themselves rather than the property owner. These visible maintenance issues reinforce the importance of verifying that basic compliance and maintenance responsibilities are addressed before public redevelopment funds are used. Public redevelopment funds should support responsible property stewardship. Before taxpayer funds are used to improve this property, the agency should ensure the building meets the same basic safety, accessibility, and permitting standards expected of every other property owner in the community. Urban renewal grants are discretionary, and the agency has the ability to ensure that public funds are used only for projects that meet those standards. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Couple things. Hopefully the applicant will be here. I don't, or at least online. I don't know if he has a copy of this
No.
to answer. If there's any questions he may want to address, he can now or at a later time. And does Kim have a copy of this? That's fine. Kim,
I have a copy of the application that was provided in the meeting materials. Yeah.
Ms. Higas presented a written application of what she just said. Her
Okay.
public comment is, so if you, we'll have her email it to you so you can have it in front of you if you want to be able to read it.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you. Hopefully we can get some of the questions answered. Let's move on. No other public comment. Tonight we do have an approval of our consent agenda, which tonight is the August 4th, 2025 Urban Renewal Agency meeting minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Agent McKee makes a motion to approve. Any second? Second by Agent Santiago. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I'm gonna allow, before we get into the review application, I'm gonna let NJ Johnson, Assistant to the City Manager, kind of explain the program and the process up to this date.
Okay, yeah, so like the mayor mentioned, what we're doing here tonight with Urban Renewal is a little bit different, just so everyone's aware, than other city council business. So you all might have noticed, like it says on the top of the agenda, Urban Renewal Agency. That's because the Urban Renewal is a completely different entity than the city of Scappoose. It shows up on your taxes as a different district because it gets collected and funneled into its own bucket, essentially. The way urban renewals are used across the state of Oregon and the country is you select really strategically the commercial and sometimes industrial, but often commercial district, essentially, and you map the properties very carefully to include a district that you want to strategically target for redevelopment. And the theory behind it being that when you invest dollars, and I'll explain in a sec where the money comes from, but when you invest in the dollars and promote and incentivize development of these areas, you can increase the value of these properties, which once the urban renewal plan pays off in 30 years, then you'll have a larger tax base to start from and to have all of your general services like fire, schools, city, all those kinds of things will all have a higher base property value because you've invested in growing the district. What it also does is you can strategically eliminate different eyesores in the community. And so, a lot of properties along the highway in Scappoose are included in the urban renewal district. And this is because they obviously have the most eyes on them. And so by targeting those that have the most economic development impact, can promote jobs, make the area look better, and then ideally in the long run, grow the tax base. That's why you do urban renewal to begin with. The mechanism for getting urban renewal funding is that when you establish the urban renewal district, again, that's I think it can be up to 25% of the total properties or assessed value within your city So 25% of those commercial areas. Once you have that, those property values are essentially frozen. And then from there, tax increment financing takes over, and the increment or the difference from the frozen base to what it grows into in future years, that gets funneled into urban renewal. And so it's the difference between the frozen base and then the growth that you experience. That's where urban renewal funding and budget comes from. And then we use that growth again to strategically reinvest it to hopefully grow even more and grow property values. And then improve financial solvency once you're done with the plan.
So when you say frozen, is it a particular year, development of the building?
Yes.
When is that?
So for us, it's 2019. That's when the Urban Renewal District was established by the council back then. And then, like I said, again, you all are agents of the Urban Renewal Agency. And so you're a completely different entity than the city. There's some, we all know we're the same people, just wearing different hats. Any other kind of general questions of just like a what we're doing, why this exists, what the grants are for?
Well, if anybody does.
Yeah, so all of the properties that are within the district, they haven't seen their property taxes increase since 2019. Is that what we're saying?
It does increase, but the difference goes to urban renewal.
If you were at $5,000 tax, let's say at that time, yours is still going to go up, but the 5,000 goes into the fund that normally would, and the difference goes into this urban renewal.
So all property owners within the district have been paying into this fund for the last 7 years.
Right.
6 years.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and even if you're out of the district, one thing that causes a little confusion is even if you live in a general residential neighborhood, urban renewal still shows up on your property taxes, even though you're not actually paying into it because you're not in the district.
What is it a percentage? What's the increase of percentages each year?
Property taxes organically typically go up 3% every year.
So
Yeah.
3% of that.
But of course, if you build a new building or have a substantial improvement, then it can increase by more than that.
Right.
And I do, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's based off of assessed value, so, yeah,
Correct.
it's a max of 3% organically, you can't go above that unless there's other development.
I want to have a work session, Marty, coming up in the next couple months, especially with John and Joel too. This urban renewal is a really important tool, and we identified when the founders did this, a bunch of items to use the money towards, mostly infrastructure, roads, safety, transportation type, roads, basically infrastructure, water, wastewater. This little portion was a portion they put in to help aesthetics in our downtown core, basically to help existing businesses try to improve their look. And so we developed this program and we put 50,000 or so a year into it. And people apply for that. And it goes through EDC, looks at the application first, answers questions, and then they approve or recommend or not, and then it comes to us. So I want to have a meeting to kind of go over it, make sure we're using it right, see the projects that are on there, if there's any we need to cross off or any we need to add. We added the water reservoir program a couple months ago, a year ago maybe, and brought that into the urban renewal and put some money towards it. So I think it'd be a really good thing to revisit this and see how it's working. Make sure we're taking the most advantage of it. Agent Holmes?
Yeah, and Jay, can you give just an update on where we stand with the overall grant account, what's available and what's expected to be put in over the next year?
Yeah, so right now we have $33,136.50 in the grant account. It goes up typically between 30 and 35,000 every year. And so we're coming up on the end of a fiscal year, July 1, those funds will be replenished. We'll get into it more, but the grant tonight is asking for excess of that. And so we can only give what we have. But that's the current status.
Is this
Thank you.
supposed to be like 50-50 or something like that?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so within the grant program, if you have a project, and we went over all of the like grants are mostly what you all deal with as business, but those, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yes, those have a 50% up to match requirement that Urban Renewal Agency can remove. If there's a project that you all really, really want to fund, it's of super strategic importance, you can remove both the cap if you have the money, and you can also remove the 50-50 match requirement. I would only do those things if it's truly like a make or break situation and the community really needs this improvement. Those should be rare circumstances.
And you have this grant application in our online
Yes.
and explaining what criteria are we looking at, what matches, what, can't use it for,
Yeah.
and that's all on there. And my question as we go forward then, because it looks like we don't have quite as much as the ask, we don't look at the new money coming in July. We have to look at what's in the bank account at this time.
Right. If you wanted to do that, the next review period for grants is in July. And so you could have Winston come back, but it would be for $4,000.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do have Winston online if we want to get that portion moving, unless there are any other kind of general questions.
Well, can he be sent, as this just gave us, so he can review it?
What I would do in the interest of time, since we're already more than halfway through this slot, I would ask him any questions that were brought up during that you have concerns about.
Okay, I've got a thing to read real quick, and then we'll get into Mr. Sandino's application. The Urban Renewal Agency will now begin reviewing an application for the Scappoose Urban Renewal Grant Program. Staff have deemed the application before us complete, and a recommendation for funding has been made by the Economic Development Committee and will be made by staff. We will begin by allowing the applicant a 5-minute presentation on their proposal and its benefits to the Scappoose community. We, the commissioners, will then have time to ask questions after the presentation. Following this Q&A, we will discuss the merits of the application, ultimately make a decision on funding it will receive. Tonight, we have an application from Winston Sandino of A+W Enterprises, LLC. Before we begin, does anyone want to declare a financial, business, or familial conflict of interest on the application we'll be discussing? Seeing none. Has anyone had any communications with the applicant related to this project outside this meeting? Seeing none. Okay, thank you. We will now begin with the applicant's presentation.
Thank you very much. And I really want to apologize. I had a doctor's appointment and I just came pretty quick. I had a presentation and I cannot find it in my website. But anyway, I just want to explain what I'm doing. Sorry, you won't have a presentation, but if you're familiar with the building, this building is next to the pet store. It used to be Burrito Express is next to it. Then there's Longfellows.
I think it was us, no?
We lost you for about 30 seconds if you would like to basically start over.
Okay, that's fine. So I don't know if you're familiar with the building. It's a red building right in the middle of Columbia Boulevard. Next to the building is the Burrito Express. Then there's Longfellows, and there was a pet store in the corner, and now it's a Native American group that rented the building. So the building has 2 retail spaces down below and 4 apartments on the second floor. And right now it's just a plain concrete building, 2 big windows in the retail space, but that's about it, nothing else. So my proposal is to have awnings on top of the windows for the retail spaces and awnings on the apartments. We discussed previously at this meeting before the color of the awnings, and the city would like to have black awnings, the color. So we will have black awnings. We will be changing the doors and the windows on the building to make it right now it's a single pane window, and we're going to put a double pane windows. The doors will be glass and wood, so the appearance would be kind of rustic, but with the building that goes with the building. Down below the retail spaces, right? They have these big windows, but it's kind of like just a concrete building. We want to soften up a little bit, and then we want to put some planters in front, down below the windows. So there's a little bit of green and color underneath those windows. We are also going to put some gooseneck lights right under the awnings. So there's illumination at night, and there's a more live space when people are walking in the area. In the back, there are two entrances in the back of the building, and we want to build an ADA ramp and ADA parking space in the back, so there's access in the back for the retail spaces. We're also going to change the doors in the back to make it more safe. The doors that goes upstairs to the apartments, they have to be open for the fire department to come to have access. But right now, anybody can go in and out. What I want to do is I want to put a door that has a code entrance, more secure for the tenants upstairs, but also for the fire department that can go in and out with the code. We're also going to paint the building, not the entire building. The building is right now red, but there are some different colors on the retail spaces. There is a light blue color. There's a white color. My last presentation, we had comments from City Council that they didn't like the colors, and we want to make sure that the color is uniform through the building. Colors that we have picked are black and white, so either black or white. But I'm willing to work with the city with the colors during the permit phase of the building. And
All right,
I think that's it.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so let's try to, does anybody have questions then?
I
Yeah.
do have a question for staff, but can wait until we get through questions with the applicant.
I do have a question. You mentioned the ADA ramp and the space, but yet in the pictures, there seems to be one already, or is that something that is painted on? Because the pictures that were provided here is different from the pictures that I had just provided. So I'm wondering, are these pictures somehow digitized or changed or updated? Or are these
No, you should have two set of plans, the existing conditions and the proposed conditions. We already submitted these plans to the city. There are actually two ramps, but they are not up to code. So the ramps need to be up to code, which basically there's a ramp, and then you have to have a landing. So if a person comes in a wheelchair, they can go to the ramp, and then they can have a flat space so they can land before they can open the door. And right now, the existing ramps are just ramps straight from the street to the door. So they're not in compliance with the new code. So the new ramps will have that
So they will
landing.
have new ADA ramps that will not be blocked by parking and will
Correct.
be accessible.
Yes.
And then you mentioned that planters, lighting, windows will be maintained by you or by the occupants?
No, it's they will be fixed if they're broken, they will be fixed by the tenant. That's already written in the rental agreement. I will be changing the windows from a single pane to a double pane, but once that's constructed in part of the building, the tenants have to replace those windows if there is a broken window. So that's part of the agreement that we write every time we have a new tenant. In fact, talking about tenants, I just rented the small retail space. There was a chiropractor there before, and the new tenant is, and you probably are familiar if you are in the Scappoose area. The new tenant is Sweet and Knot. I don't know if you're familiar with that store. They're on the other side of the railroad tracks, and they're moving now.
So that would also, in planters and lighting and all that, would that be updated or upkept by you, by the owner? Because you mentioned planters and all that, so would someone be taking care of those, or that's part of the occupants?
The planters and the windows will be responsibility of the tenant if they break. The awnings will be, I will be in charge of those if I have to clean them or repair. The lights will be separated by the tenant's space. There's a bigger retail space on one side and a smaller one. So the lights will be hooked up to the electricity. So they will be paying for that. And they will be maintaining the lights.
So there's 3 addresses there on the front, and where it says Sweet Light Wellness, is that the smaller one that is?
Yes, that's the one that it's being remodeled right now by the tenant, the new tenant. As I mentioned, Sweet and Knot.
Okay.
It's a really cute store that it's that they're doing a pretty good job now. They will be so there are 3. So that's the window, the door, and then the door in the middle. It's a door that goes up this upstairs to the apartments. And that's the door that I want to put a electronic doorknob. So
It will be like fire code. It will be up to the code, fire code, and meet their standard.
Yes, correct.
And they do have, all 3 places have occupancy permits?
Yes. They are all 100% occupied.
And so my question is, all of these that you mentioned are aesthetic, not necessarily infrastructure, right? So the aesthetic is that, I read your responses to how would it increase economic activity, how would it promote economic tourism, and how it would create local jobs and attract new investment. Can you talk a little bit more on how these aesthetic changes will actually do all the following?
Well, when I presented last time, I have been doing a lot of improvements to that building, and it seems like I've been the only one doing the improvements, and I want to set the example of how a building should be at least in that block. So we can follow up, and once I do these improvements, the other buildings can follow the same type of improvements, and we have a very cohesive type of historic buildings. This is a really historic block, and right now it's all over the place, different colors, and so just by doing these features in the building, maybe the city can put together some kind of a planning aesthetics for the way that the rest of the building should be doing.
That is
And it will
kind of the
attract-
planned goals. I mean, goal 2 is promote emergence of a vibrant town center as a civic and cultural hub for Scappoose. Encourage redevelopment and infill in town and support the growth and retention of local business. So I think by making it look good, it will attract more businesses to work there. And he is fixing the sidewalk and the ADA ramps as part of his quote. So other than just aesthetics, there is ADA and sidewalk construction.
But how much, because we don't have all that.
And we can talk about safety, because having lights in front of the
And
building.
lighting for safety as well. Yeah. Was your question then for staff?
Yes, just a clarification. I think it was brought up during public comment that there could be some electrical issues, which to me are, important, could cause a fire if they exist. Doesn't the county, I don't know exactly how this works, but I think the county comes out and inspects all electrical work.
That's correct. Yeah, the county, or excuse me, electrical is the one area of the building permit world that the city doesn't have any role in. It's all directly through the county.
Okay, and do we know if an electrical permit was, for the instance it was cited, was pulled, so that would trigger the inspection by the county?
Yeah. Upon any, building permit review or any changes to the electrical, yes, it would trigger that permit.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I realize that's not really in our purview, but I just wanted to clarify that, because I thought that when a electrical permit is pulled, that it triggers an inspection by the county, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the quote part where he puts in the gooseneck lights in front of the building, that will all be done through permits and will trigger that permit. I guess that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good specific point. So I would assume that electrical work would require a permit. Okay,
Even the digital door, putting the
Yeah.
digital door as
The
well.
commercial doors and the storefront windows will all have to be.
I don't know
Yeah.
if a battery operated lock would qualify, if that's
I don't know how that-
what,
I
I don't know what all doors
Okay.
is, yeah, but.
I think we have to get a permit for pretty much all the work that we're doing. What I found out is that when it's a commercial building, you have to get a permit. There's 3 types of permits. One is structural, electric, and mechanical. So if I'm doing any improvements to the HVAC, for example, the furnace, then I would have to get a permit for that. But I know that I have to get a permit for the electrical work, because we're adding new breakers to the building that will have the illumination in front. I know that I have to get a permit for the back when I do the ADA ramps, which I already submitted the plans to the city for review. And once I start doing the work, they will have to come and inspect all the ADA ramps, all the electrical. I don't think the doors qualify as an inspection, because they're more like maintenance, but I will have a permit from the city to do all that work.
And so this is done, this is a reimbursement. Our grant is after it's done, he submits the receipts and whatever we agree on. So it's after fact. So we can put stipulations on it, like we will accept this and as long as all the permits have been signed off on, that type of thing. How much exactly do we have available then at this time?
The number is 33,136.50.
Now, obviously, he could wait and come back if we do award and wait until July when we have more money, but it may be gone then, or new applicants might be in front and you run into that risk. I know you've waited quite a while and been working on this for several months. Okay, well, we need to, yes. Agent Holmes.
Yeah, so I think you were getting to the question I was going to ask. NJ, do we have other applications in the pipeline? Or is the EDC actively doing any sort of outreach to other businesses and we could expect an application anytime soon?
There is not any applications in process right now. There is, we're kind of talking to a pizza vendor about doing some improvements to their parking lot and getting some grant funding. That'd be about a $20,000 project, so they could get up to a 10K grant. That's it in terms of stuff down the road.
That would, obviously, if they're ready in July, they would come then at the July meeting when we'd have new money.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Sandino, I do have one question for you. I'm sorry I was late to the party today. The question I have is I didn't see any local bids. All the bids you had for the restaurant or your service for the project were outside of Scappoose.
Yes, but I have a bid for the awnings, and I was going to do another look for another bid local. I know that in last conversations I had, I guess there was another company in Scappoose that could do that work. So I'm going to be looking for another
Right.
company that can probably do.
My question is why weren't why weren't local contractors? I know there's people that do cement work and they do glass work in the local community. So I'm just wondering why you didn't explore those opportunities earlier. Because the costs obviously are greater when a contractor's coming in from out of town rather than one is here local.
Yeah, I had 3 bids from different companies. I actually called a few companies to give me some bids. Some were really, really high, as you can see from the bids. But you know, I was trying to get to an area where I can you know, financially do the project.
Right, I read through your bids, yeah. That's what struck me. There was no local because that was my question because I read through your bids, but I didn't see anything local in that process.
Yes, yeah, I could not find a local. The only local contractor that I think I might call and see if they can do the awnings would be local, and that's one of the highest numbers in the bid.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Yeah, there are definitely some local electricians as well that do a lot of that work. Okay, there's no more questions. Anybody have a recommendation? Did the EDC give any, besides recommendation to accept, did they say anything else?
Yeah, I'll say super quickly, the EDC and staff both recommend full available funding on this. It's a little lower than the applicants asked, but it's what we have in the bank right now. The main reason being of how critical those stretch of buildings are along the highway for just the overall appearance and impression people have of Scappoose that live here and that don't.
I do think that the founding fathers that wrote this up had that in mind for this program.
Yep.
And hopefully, if it is accepted, it will get the other ones to see that and make some changes as well, that whole area.
NJ, is there conversations with the other owners to come together? I know there's possibly an urban growth plan in the future that obviously could include them. Is there something that, I don't know, would benefit as a collaboration with all the owners?
That would definitely be the way to do it. We've tried. The hard thing is that pretty much I mean, you can see it if you just take a look at the buildings or go to like Google Street View, but they're all sort of a different, you know, aesthetic and color and height, and it's because they're all under different ownership. They're all different parcels, and so it's harder to get them all into doing some cohesive improvements all at the same time.
all the way from Wigwam to the pet shop.
Yeah.
Where they're all several different
Yep.
owners.
Is anything like intertwined between different building owners, like electrical? And I mean, there's also obviously the sidewalk is, they're not, they're gonna share a sidewalk and
Yeah.
things like that. So anything that they can work together to minimize Mr. Sandino's cost as far as, coming together in collaboration?
It's, I guess, again, it's just about like when people are willing to spend the money. If something's not out of code, it sort of, take special circumstances and the right timing to be willing to put this kind of money down for improvements that no one's making you do.
I guess that's the problem.
All right. Agent Holmes?
Mr. Sandino, are you willing to still undertake the project if you don't get the full grant award you've requested?
I would like to do some. I mean, I would not be able to do all of it, but I can probably do little by little, I guess, in the next few years.
To be clear,
So-
Winston, we're talking about just about $2,000 less than your requested amount.
Yeah, I mean, any amount at this point would definitely help. I'm ready. I have, the contractors ready. I'd like to do, start with the lights here pretty soon and the windows. So yeah, I'm ready to start the work.
The other thing I want to, I guess, ask you, Winston, is, if the Urban Renewal Agency were to approve this grant award, they would be counting on what's in your proposal to get done. Is there anything in the proposal that if this $2,000 difference were not fully funded, that would have to come out? Because otherwise
No.
we wouldn't be able to okay.
No. Everything that I put in there in the proposal, I will be completing.
Okay, thank you.
And so you, EDC, and you guys recommended a full award, which you said was $33,136.50, and so that would be reimbursed as receipts were turned in. And there's timeframes when that all has to be done, correct?
24 months, yeah.
Okay.
Question, NJ, I mean, just like Agent Holmes and mentioned about local contractors, can we ask Mr. Sandino to most likely, search for local vendors versus,
That one gets tricky. I know we would all like, the money, even if it's going to get spent on a contractor, to stay in the district. But one thing I will say is if that was important, I would have put it in the application form.
right, okay.
Because
And EDC did bring that up over time of trying to get him to lower some things in the past, if I remember right, to work with them on that. And so, I mean, they brought that up, looking at different ways of doing stuff to save money.
And if that's a preference, and you all want to say you need at least one of your 3 bids to be local if available, like if
Yeah.
there's a local contractor that does that work, that'd be fine with me, but I would just,
It would be
I
nice,
wouldn't
yeah.
make people do it once they've played by this set of rules.
At least 2, maybe we ask a local for a bid.
Exactly.
You don't have,
Yeah. And it
okay.
might not be the best or,
Yeah.
the most qualified or whatever.
But we do have a little meeting supposed to have started a few minutes ago, so I do want to make sure we get all this though.
Yeah.
We want to get it right.
Right.
Taking a while. Anybody have a recommendation or a motion?
It is a crucial space in gap groups.
Yeah, I mean, I can even do one, but I'd like to put stipulations on it, but make sure that some of the things are followed through on.
Yeah, I guess that's what we make sure that they follow through.
The biggest assurances you have already without anything in your motion are that it has to be the improvements they say they're going to do in the style. So there's a rendering in there, and part of what you're approving is the look, and so it needs to be consistent with that. And then the other component too that you have surety on is that they get all the necessary permits.
Yeah, and they would be signed off and accepted before You don't just get a receipt from an electrical company. You
Correct.
get it completed, permitted, and
Yeah.
then we reimburse.
Urban Renewal comes in to take a look when the work is done.
What about the timeline though? So, I mean, we're looking at this, I think, in whole.
Yeah.
And so what if they do a piece of it and then they wait a year or don't follow through at all? How does that work?
24 months right now is the timeline. Otherwise, it would only be funded up to what's been completed.
And the job wouldn't be complete.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, part of that is just like project tracking. We don't want these things to go on forever, especially if we're giving you money to do them.
Right, yeah, and we're looking at this as a whole, thinking it looks great, but then if only a piece of it's done,
Yeah.
it does impact, I think, at least my decision. And then who goes out and inspects to make sure that these things are completed?
For urban renewal purposes, it's normally me and then one or two others from the community development team. For permitting purposes, it's the people that would normally do those, like building inspectors, building official.
Okay. I think I would like to explore I mean, obviously we have a set of rules that we need to keep consistent for this application, but after this application, I think I would like to review the criteria again and also the timeline in which things need to be done.
Okay.
Just because like this, for example, has multiple components to it that could be done and kind of piecemealed. And I don't know if there's a better way to have a criteria basically or requirements that things get done within a certain amount of time or order. Because, you know, I mean, there's lighting, there's ADA, who sets the priority on these things too? So I think those are all things that should potentially be reviewed.
Right.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So when I ask for the bid, I get a general contractor doing the work. And the general contractor does everything pretty much. The only thing that the general contractor is not going to do is the awnings. And those are the ones that I can actually go and look for a local vendor and see if they can give me a better price than the price that I already quoted there. And so that will be a change. But at the same time is a general contractor wants to go there and then finish up a project right away because they want to get, you know, in and out so they can get other projects done. So, and for transparency, I can work with the city and you specifically on schedule and give you update monthly or bi-weekly if that is a concern.
And does your general contractor, do they sometimes sub out the electrical work to someone else?
Yes.
Or are they doing it themselves? Or
Yeah,
something?
they can sub
makes
out
sense.
the electrical. They have two electricians that have done some work in the building already. But as you know, electricians are very busy, and sometimes they you know are not available. So I think that's another one that I can probably see if I can get an electrician local. But everything else, the painting, doors, the sidewalk, everything else would be one general contractor doing all the work.
Okay. You good? Anybody have a recommendation?
Kim's got her hand raised.
Yeah, Agent Holmes.
Yep, I will go ahead and make a recommendation that the agency approve the application in the amount that's currently available pending completion, all completion of the proposed work.
A motion by Agent Holmes to offer the 33,000 full amount that we have reimbursed at the completion of the work. And any second?
Yeah, second.
Agent Marquis seconds. Any more discussion?
I do have a request. So it's 33, but if he gets a quote less, would that be at 50%? Okay.
Yeah.
Just the one, it's 33 or 50% of the cost. Okay.
The bid comes in lower, it will be half of the.
Yeah.
Up to 33,136.50.
Right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I'm going to abstain because I was late to the discussion. So
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Thank you. Are we good? All right.
Thank you.
Well, we'll talk as you go and keep us updated and start deciding the colors and scheme. Let us know.
Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, can I ask you a question really quick?
Thank you
As
very
far
much.
as-
Thank you.
Thank you. As far as the criteria goes and looking at potentially requiring at least one of the bids to be from a local contractor, and potentially some requirements around, I don't know what the right term is, but the order or how they go about doing the project to make sure that, it's, the whole thing's going to be done. Is that a conversation that we can have in a council meeting, or do we have to do that in an agency meeting?
It'd be agency meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the work session I'm talking about, our finance, half of it could be the application process, if there's any questions, and then urban renewal in general.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to look at that because, obviously when you're traveling 60 miles back and forth, you're adding to the cost.
And this, again, this is a fairly new project thing for us, and every time we change this grant cycle, trying to fit it to what works, so.
Yeah.
Keep looking at it.
And then when we have owners of these buildings that potentially live out of the area that don't know about our contractors that we do have, perhaps we could also solicit just if you want your name listed in a directory or something that we can provide. The out area building owners that may not know, that might be something that we could do for our local economy also.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Now we've got a work session started at 6:30 to talk at level of service.